Good morning. Friday, April 21st, 2023. Today we're down in the corner of southwest Iowa, right on the border of southwest Iowa and northwest Missouri, and Nebraska is just a couple miles behind me. And it's 34 degrees this morning, and we have forecast of getting even colder over the weekend with lows down to 30, 31 on a latitude here. And then as you move northward, get to a latitude of Sioux City, Iowa, get to a latitude then of the Minnesota and Iowa border where there are crops in the ground. They'll get down to the lower to mid 20s. You're on the ground with Rob Seco. So this particular farm's been in the ground for 8 days, and theoretically, based on air temperature, it has accumulated about 92 GDUs, or 92 growing degree days. So think about that in theory. At 20 to 25 GDUs, germination, the imbibition of water and the germination process should have taken place or should be started. At 40 GDDs or 40 GDUs, then your radicle should be popping out. At 60 to 65 GDUs, and your coleoptile or your shoot should emerge, and then at 70 to 75 or even 80 GDUs, then the seminal root system should come out. It takes 120 to 130 GDUs to get seed, to get that plumule, to get that shoot pushed to the soil surface. Of course, that's in theory, and that's air temperature. That's not taking into consideration the GDDs that are accumulated at seed depth in that with that soil temperature. And also that theory is based on a normal and continued cadence of gradual heat unit accumulation. So right here, again, 92 GDDs have been accumulated in the last 8 days. There's been 2.5 days that have accumulated 20, a couple days that have accumulated in the teens, and then 2 and 3 days that have accumulated less than 3. So it's been a very erratic cadence for that emergence. Again, 34, 35 degrees right now, early morning on Friday the 21st, and at seed depth, here, this is planted at the bottom of the trench, right about 2.5 inches. So we're just going to take temperature at 2.5 inches, and I've done this earlier. So we're 34 degree air temperature, we're 41 degree soil temperature at seed depth. When this was planted, again, a week ago yesterday, which would have been the 13th of April, at planting conditions in that afternoon at seed depth, the soil temperature was 68, almost 69 degrees. So it has plummeted and it has gone backwards a significant amount. So 26, 27 degree decline in soil temperature. That's not atypical. No, that is atypical. What is common is once we put corn in the ground in Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, South Dakota, Wisconsin, we often go backwards in soil temperature. That's not uncommon, and it's common for that soil temperature to go back 8 or 9 degrees. And in any given day, as we monitor our soil temperature at 2-inch depth in any 24-hour period, you can fluctuate 12 to 15 degrees. But if you go deeper at 4-inch depth, as an example, you only fluctuate 3 or 4 degrees in that period. So again, the deeper seed is in the ground, the more buffered that it is. The deeper the seed's in the ground, the more buffered it is from the air temperature. Like we say right now, it's 34 degree air temp, but it's only 41 degrees at seed depth. So let's dig these up and let's take a look at what the seedlings, the germinated seed look like, and see if we're on task, see if we're on par to theory. So we've dug up 5 plants in a row. And as you look at these, you've got a great deal of consistency, particularly when you think about the cadence of the accumulation of GDDs. Again, you had several days that were that accumulated 20 GDDs, and you had a couple days in the mid to high teens, and then several days literally below 5 GDU accumulation. And so as you see, structure radical from an inch to an inch and a half and an inch and 3/4. Then here's your shoot or your coleoptile, also could be known as the plumule, as that plumule will get pushed to the soil surface with a structure called the mesocotyl. Okay? So you have 4 seeds that are extremely uniform. You have one that's a little bit behind for whatever variable reason that could be. And with this plant, this seedling will likely be behind these 4 as they come to the soil surface. So what we've seen this morning is some very healthy seedling plants moving at a very consistent pace, even with a very erratic accumulation of GDDs or GDUs. We would be remiss not to be concerned about the next few days' weather pattern. Though remember, at seed depth is exactly where your growing point is. So the better seeding depth that you have, the more buffered that seed placement is from the fluctuation of the air temperature. And at the same time, also remember that the greater soil moisture that you have, the less fluctuation air temperature will have on it. So the more moisture you have, the slower the temperature is to decline. At the same time, it'll be slower to increase. So I think there's some decent buffer, if you have a seeding depth below 2, but there will be some areas that will get down to 20, 21, maybe 22 degrees, and that could be some concern. But that buffer from seeding depth to air temperature at the surface will depend on so many things. Depend on soil texture, soil type, residue, rotation. All of those will have an influence on the buffer from, again, the temperature at the surface to the temperature at seed depth, because remember, growing point is still at seed depth. That's what we're finding here today. You've been on the ground with Rob Seco. I'm Todd Claussen.